Welcome everyone to round 1 of February 19th Star Wars Unlimited Locals Night over at Valkyrie Vault in Brownsburg, Indiana. If you guys are looking for a place to play some Star Wars Unlimited, check out Valkyrie Vault in Brownsburg, Indiana. Thursday nights, $5 entries, starting at 6 p.m. And for round 1, we got Rio Red and Jabba Sec Green. Oh, some really neat decks. I myself was playing Ray Data Vault. I went X1 with Ray Data Vault. We only had 4 people for this event, so we only needed 2 rounds. But nonetheless, we're not here to talk about my Ray Data Vault. We're here to talk about these 2 decks. And first off on the left side, boo him in the comments. Uncouth, unsleeved cards. Ugh. How uncouth of this person to have unsleeved cardboard. You can boo them down in the comments. But enough about that. Let's talk our leaders. Rio Durgin states on his, as a reminder, on his front side, he's a JTL leader that on his front side, tap him, attack with a vehicle unit. It gets +1 and a saboteur for the attack. He flips on 4 or 5, attaches itself to a vehicle. You get a +3, +5, or you can just flip him over as a vanilla pilot of 3/5. When he's attached to a vehicle unit, it gets saboteur, but if he's attached to a transport, he gets a +1 and saboteur, which is pretty nice. So basically, you're just in space. It's JTL style combat. That's all you're doing. You're just playing a bunch of transports, and that's it, with Rio being in yellow and you being in aggression naturally, meaning we have a control aggressive style gameplay alongside using vehicles. Majority it will be transports, just so we can attach Rio to it and get the most value off of Rio Durgent. For Jabba Sec Green, Jabba on his front side is action. Pay 1, tap him. A friendly damage unit deals 1 damage to an enemy unit. If a friendly unit has 3 or more damage on it, you do 2. He flips on 5, and then on his backside, he states 2/8 on his backside. When another friendly unit deals combat damage and survives, you may have that unit deal that much damage to an enemy unit. You can only use this ability once per round. So the gimmick of the Jabba deck is pretty simple. In this case, I believe this player was just running a large number of Sentinels. Your opponent runs into the Sentinels. You tap Jabba to deal damage, but then Jabba on his backside, you play a bunch of Sentinels. Your opponent runs into big Sentinels, and then because those big Sentinels survive, Jabba on his backside just pings out the damage. So that's your whole gimmick of Jabba. Your guys need to survive, and then you just slowly chip damage your opponent by killing them off with that damage. So in this case, just run Sentinels for days, and then just basically flip on 5, run Sentinels for days, and force your opponent have to out it. So those are our decks. Let's jump into game number 1 and see who will take round number 1. Here we go for game number 1. Both our sides are ready to go. We're going to start with a Imperial Dark Trooper on the Jabba side. Then we're going to go for a TIE Bomber on the Rio side. Okay, so again, Rio Durgin does have the ability to tap 1, pay 1, and then I give that bomber a +1 and saboteur, meaning that it deals 1 normal damage and then 3 indirect damage. So very interesting to see a non-transport here. We're going to go for the super laser tech. I know a lot of people will be happy once that rotates out. We're going to go for an open fire to immediately kill the Imperial Dark Trooper there, and then we're going to go for the TIE bomber into, of course, that, and then we're going to do 2 indirect damage into the base and then 1 indirect damage into the super laser tech, allowing it to resource itself. A pretty interesting thought process of not really maybe swinging with the bomber there, knowing that your opponent wouldn't have any ability to actually kill off the super laser tech themselves. So anyways, we do have out a Knight of Ren here. We're going to go for an Imperial, the Hoth Lieutenant here. That's going to allow us to immediately attack with a unit and then be able to then do all the indirect damage. We're going to flip a good old Jabba the Hutt around here, just so then again we have that ability. If a unit does survive combat, we can then do that damage. Back to one of our opponent, how much damage we took upon the combat. So right now that means that Knight of Ren can kill the Hoth Trooper there, and then the Hoth Lieutenant there, and then be able to survive the attack and go after that. As we see, the Hoth Lieutenant's going to swing in and dealing 10 damage to that. Then we're going to go for 4, immediately killing off that, and then dealing 3 damage back to, of course, then the TIE Bomber, thanks to the Jabba effect, because we did survive the combat there. Very interesting. We decided to win that instead of maybe potentially playing out that Fett's Fire Spray so that we could have it. I believe Fett's Fire Spray does have the transport tag on it. So anyways, we're going to do 3 indirect damage. We see Fett, so it looks like all 3 is going to go on the base. Then we're going to go for, of course, the a card that came out in Secrets of Power, the reveal green, and you can give a unit Sentinel for the phase. Not that it overly matters. I guess you could Jabba a Sentinel. So anyways, then we're going to go for Fett's Fire Spray. We do want indirect damage on play on attack because we do not have the Boba Fett leader or upgrade or unit right now currently on the board state. So we're going to flip there. I think you maybe, in my opinion, you probably should have flipped Rio Durgin, maybe put it on the bomber just to give it an extra +3 power, but I get why. Because Fett's Fire Spray technically is a transport there, as we can see. So that does mean that Rio can attach to it and give that extra attack point here. So let's see what we're going to do. Oh, Fleet Interdictor coming down here. We're going to go for the ability to rest the ground, outmaneuver there. So you choose space or ground, and you can immediately choose where to do this, and then we're going to be able to deal 4 damage to the Interdictor, and then the effect of Jabba, we're going to be able to kill off of Fett's Fire Spray because of the effect, because we did open fire, killing the Fleet Interdictor, dealing damage to the Fleet Interdictor, but the Fleet Interdictor survived here, meaning that Jabba's effect does go off there. Not probably the best idea to play there because of that, but even then, even if you ran in the I don't know why. I think, in my opinion, you probably should have flipped Rio Durgin to put him onto the actually put him on the Fett's Fire Spray, because I believe it has a transport tag attached to it, meaning that Rio would have been able to actually ignore the, naturally, even if it did it, he'd have Saboteur already. So meaning being able to dodge out the Interdictor would have been pretty good. So we're going to go Frozen and Carbonite for the big unit there, so we don't have to deal with that. We're going to do swing 4 damage into the base here. I think our Rio Durgin player is missing some of their ability to go for Rio Durgin here. So we're going to go for the Jabba the Hutt, swinging in the 2 as well. Yeah, I think they missed the chance for that. We could have easily have done the effect here. So anyways, we're going to attach the Boba Fett to the Tzagarian Star Hopper here, and then we're going to ping 1 damage onto, of course, the Knight of Ren and kill it, and then we don't get the secondary ability, and we're going to go for another Fleet Interdictor onto the ground, because Fleet Interdictors are not unique units, so you can have as many in space as you want. So we have 2 Fleet Interdictors in space. So yeah, I think if they flipped the Rio Durgin and put it onto Fett's Fire Spray, they could have still done the 1 indirect damage, because that's naturally what just gets on attack. It just gets the extra indirect damage because of the effect of the Fire Spray as long as Boba is out. And then we're going to go for the Tzagarian into the Fleet Interdictor that's damage, and then 2 indirect damage on death for the Interdictor. For the Tzagarian Star Hopper, we're going to go for a assembly there, and then we're going to go for the Snub Fighter, the rest of the Interdictor, and then we're going to go for a Acolyte. And then we're going to go for a Fang Fighter here, but I feel like the Rio Durgin side is not going to be able to get out of this one. The ground has just gotten so out of hand. But then again, that's kind of what happens in most JTO strategies. JTO leaders specifically are more heavy in the aspect of space than they are in ground. So a lot of times it's very easy to choke point these leaders by just going for the ground. Yeah, some of them do play a good amount of ground presence here, as we're going to go for the Interdictor into the Snub Fighter, and then using the Jabba effect to kill off the Fang Fighter, because there's only 2 health points on a Fang Fighter. So yeah, I think they really missed their chance there on the Rio Durgin side. They should have actually flipped it onto the Fett's Fire Spray and then gone for Fett's Fire Spray, having not only just naturally the Saboteur because it's already a vehicle, but maybe getting also the +1. We're going to then go bring down the good old Boba Fett. He does come in shielded here, so he does come in with a fancy shield token onto him, so no need to worry about that. So we come out with a shield, good old Mandalorian shield for a Mandalorian like himself. Then we're going to swing 6 damage onto the base here, but I do not see much of a way for the Rio Durgin player to get out of game number 1. This should easily go and be wrapped up by the Jabba player. So anyways, looks like we're finally, well, no, I guess we're not going to do it. I didn't mention it, but that Rio is also its showcase, so nice to see another showcase out there. I always enjoy getting people showcase here, and we're going to go for the crawler here, and that's pretty much just going to be it. The crawler is going to be able to basically end the game here, because it's going to go for the ambush, and then it's going to be able to knock out the shield, take the damage back. The Jabba effect will then I think the Jabba effect actually responded here, so the Jabba effect actually wouldn't be able to do it, but it doesn't really matter either way. There's too many bodies even for that Boba to really do anything, so the game is just going to go to Jabba Sec Green for game number 1. Let's move into game number 2. Welcome, folks, to game number 2. Both sides are just finishing up their resourcing here. As we see, Jabba Green has already resourced 1 card here. They're deciding what they want to do for their secondary card. So again, I'm really hoping the Rio Durgin player can actually maybe get a win for game 3. I think that'd be pretty cool. So anyways, going to go for Screeching TIE Fighters. We're going to go for the Sith guy down there. I believe that's the LOF Sith. but a 3/2 hidden is always really nice to have. So everyone's going to figure out. It looks like they're just determining whether or not they want to do something with that resupply there. Again, another card that will be leaving in rotation as well. So we're going to go for the Rio Durgent and allowing us to pay 1. Then that's going to give us 3 damage, and then we basically can remove the effect off of something on. Fit to something as we go for an Outer Rim Constable to remove no upgrades here, but that does give us a ground presence that's able to trade with that Sith Acolyte on the ground there. So anyways, we're just, or Sith Assassin, I think that's a Sith Assassin, I can't remember. It's a Sith nonetheless. It's just a Jedi, it's a Jedi unit. Anyways, then we're going to be able to go have the TIE SF kill the Screeching TIE Fighter there just so we can remove it. And then we're going to go for the Hoth Lieutenant to immediately be able to swing into base there. I mean, allowing the Constable to swing and getting an extra 2 damage attack there, getting the put 5, because again, the Sith guy does not have the, Sentinel tag. So meaning that that's immediate damage. So we'll have to figure out what we want to do now. We did use a Jabba effect to target, of course, the TIE SF and deal 1 damage point to, of course, the Outer Rim Constable, immediately removing off the board. Again, I am not going to be happy when those cards are Constable and all our upgrade hate are still around. As we're going to go swing 3 damage from the Hoth Lieutenant so that we can put up the 10. So far, I mean, like the Rio player does have like some really good just damage coming out and a really good process, but I think they're just last turn they just missed some stuff. So anyways, we're gonna go for IG-2000. It's immediately gonna kill off the TIE SF and then deal 1 damage to the Sith there. Again, Jabba could trigger it, but that will only deal 1 damage back to something here. So it's really nice to see the IG. That is a transport as well. So next turn, if it does survive, we can flip the Rio Durgent onto it. So we're just gonna trade out the Sith with the Hoth. And then we're going to go down for a Trident, and then we're going to be able to flip the Jabba here and then dealing 2 damage to the base there. Ooh, that Trident is very scary. That is a massive unit there. It's a 6/6 on the ground. I believe it's a 6/6/5 cost. I don't think it's 6/6/6 Mark of the Beast. I always like it when I can be able to do that for you all, or 7/7/7 the Mark of the Nurgle. So anyways, we are going to flip the Rio Durgent, giving us, of course, that +3/+5. I don't know why he's +3/+5. Oh, we're going to go for the upgrade card that states attached to anything, and then basically you can rest 1 unit in that battlefield area. Now, the thing is, Jabba can't really have this Trident fighter come in and kill. Can't go after the IG here because, again, there's no, even if that was the case, it doesn't actually survive combat. So, because that will be doing... Actually, no, it will survive combat. No, now it won't because technically then it just gets killed off here. And then the job is going to trigger here because we're going to deal 3... We're going to kill off the punishing 1 and then deal 3 damage, and Jabba's effect to deal 3 damage to, of course, the IG-2000 here. So honestly, it just does not feel great. Everything as we see, another Trident ship hit came down here. Anyways, we're going to go swinging 7. All right, no, he actually gets the constant +1 there, so it actually is swinging at 7 because of the constant +1 from Rio Durgent, because the IG-2000 is a transport vehicle. So we're going to have to kind of figure out. So we're just going to potentially go for, that should be a full-on crash there between vehicles. That should not be anything because that's 9 onto that against already having 3 damage onto it. So that just removes the Rio Durgent off of the battlefield. It really does suck here. It looks like we're going to go for 4. We're going to go for another IG-2000 to deal 1 damage to the Trident, 1 damage to the good old Jabba the Hutt. Here we're going to go for the Crusairian, a Sentinel in the sky. We're going to go Snub Fighter to rest the Trident so that we basically just don't take the damage. I mean, at least the Rio Durgent player, they are surviving here just for a little while longer. But the problem is, once again, we've seen this. The Jabba player can easily make a ground force more than the Rio player can make a space force. And right now, the Jabba player is showing exactly what this deck really wants to do. It just wants to create a bunch of guys with Sentinel and then basically punish you. As we see the Trident ship going to kill the... Trident ship going and killing, I believe it went to kill the IG, and then it used the Jabba effect to kill off the Snub Fighter there. So, yeah, this isn't really going great for, of course, the Rio player at all, because, again, not only do they have to worry about that cruiser there that has Sentinel, and then the Trident ship that still only has 2 health points left on it, and that Jabba down there. Yeah, you got to get rid of Jabba in this matchup here. And I believe what's more funny about the player on the right side who's playing our Jabba green deck, is we're going to go for an outmaneuver to rest the space front, is I believe this was their, we did a Padawan event, and I believe this is their Padawan deck. And we're going to go for a fire spray to deal 1 indirect damage. We should have 1 indirect damage on play, because again, that is a mandatory effect on the play here of what we want to do here. So that's going to go immediately onto the Jabba the Hutt. The one indirect damage from, of course, the Fett's Fire Spray here. We do see Jabba the Hutt is in there. We're going to go for some cruel commandos on the ground and another Sith Assassin. Yes, I believe that is a Sith Assassin. You can correct me down in the comments. I try to always memorize the art of these cards more than the names. There's a lot of cards in Star Wars Unlimited. Truly, we're going to have another 7 set. I don't know how many more cards I'll be able to memorize forever, folks. But anyways, doesn't really matter. Here we go for the Boba Fett. We're going to be able to rest the cruiser there. And then be able to, that does mean that now the Fett's Fire Spray does have the ability to do the 2 indirect damage because of having the Boba Fett upgrade now on the board. But we're just going to have the Trident ship kill off the Fett's Fire Spray here, just removing that completely off of the board. Well, that really does suck. We did have Overwhelm there as well, as we're going to go for the Soulless one that's on attack. You can reveal double yellow and 1 black, and you can restand 2 resources, I believe. So anyways, then we're going to swing in the Cruel Commandos and the Jabba the Hutt, and basically the game is now just going to get out of hand here. The Jabba player is going to win it without a doubt, unless there's now maneuver to try to save the ground. There's really no way for our Rio player to get out of this in any possible way, because the ground has now just got so many bodies on the ground, and really a 30 health base with 21 points on it is not going to be enough to survive. So that's pretty much the game here for Rio Dirgent. Unless they have outmaneuver, that'd be the only way to actually survive. This would be outmaneuver. So we're going to go for the of course, Frozen and no good to me dead there, and then we're going to swing this. It looks like we're just going to get a concedement from the Rio Dirgent side, which, I mean, there's no reason why they wouldn't concede. The space front can't even deal with the cruiser. The cruiser can kill this. Jabba can play it. Basically, if they play another card, this goes in, kills this, 3 damage, this 3 damage to whatever else. And again, this is a 3 attack points, putting this up to 34, 24, and then you have the Jabba, and then these 2 with no sentinels or no outmaneuvers. Even if you bounce something back to hand, it's not going to matter. There's just nothing they could do. They could easily just send the cruiser into the base as well, so Rio Dirgent would need sentinels. But nonetheless, that is the end. Jabba Sec Green walks away with the win against Rio Red. And a little sad. I was hoping Rio Red was going to pull out like it did against Phosphorus Blue, but sometimes that's not how the cookie crumbles. But nonetheless, guys, you let me know your thoughts down in the comments on the gameplay on the decks. And what do you think these decks are going to do in these Lawless Time meta, especially once they lose access to cards from 1, 2, and 3 for the premier format? And while you're commenting, do make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you can notify when my videos go live for you. And we'll see you next time on Mom Dragons TCG.